I'm Pat O'Brien with an Olympic profile. Next, when going downhill is not fast enough. Speed skiing will be a demonstration event in the coming Winter Games. The woman with the most victories is America's Kirsten Culver. You know, the NBA has enjoyed tremendous success through the years, and that translates into commercial opportunities for the players. And I'm sure you've all seen the slick commercials that are on the air, but we thought we'd give you the other side of that. We got a hold of some of the things that you have never seen on the air until now.
CBS sportscaster Pat O'Brien, just a sample of his work from days gone by. Of course, Pat went on to anchor and host Access Hollywood and The Insider. He's one of the best known and most respected broadcasters in our business. And his 2014 memoir, I'll Be Right Back After This, is now out in paperback. It is a great read, offering a candid look at his life, both on and off camera. And Pat is very much on camera today from Los Angeles, joining us via Skype. Pat, welcome to Newsmax Prime.
JD, nice to talk to you. I'm here in my home office, and it's good evening to you and all your fans.
Well, thanks so much, Pat. And I'll quote a sports figure. Branch Rickey once said, "Luck is the residue of hard work." And when I read your book, I was struck by what seemed to be serendipity in terms of your first job in broadcasting. How did you go from a Senate staffer to David Brinkley's assistant?
It's funny. It is serendipity, and it was luck. You know, I got a job as a copy boy. I don't know if people know what that is anymore, but a copy boy was like the lowest level job you could have, and you would roll up copy off these machines.
Yep, like that.
It's do it really
that's
well.
right.
You'd roll it up, and you'd hand it to the anchor people. And I was in local news. And it was my first day there, and I was from South Dakota. I had $200 in my pocket. I had no idea what I was going to do. And somebody tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around. It was David Brinkley. Now, Brinkley was one of the most famous anchors in the 50s and 60s with the Huntley-Brinkley Show. And he was the first image I ever saw on television. So I turned around. There he is. I'm like, whoa. And, excuse me, there's no cough button in my house.
That's okay, pal.
No, and so he looked, he said, "Who are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm new here, Mr. Brinkley. I'm just a copy boy here." And I was making some extra money because I was going to graduate school at Johns Hopkins, getting my master's in economics. Anyway, he said, "Can you come back to my office? Our secretary's gone, and we don't have anybody answer the phones." So I just got up and left my job and went back to David's office. And I said, "I got a check." He goes, "Never mind, just do it." So I came back, and we started chatting, and we became, you know, good. Like, I think if you and I ever met, we'd become good friends right away. We became friends immediately. And he said, "How would you like to work for me?" I don't have a researcher. It was 1970. He said, "You know a lot about politics. Come work for me." And I said, "Well, what do I do about my other job?" He said, "Don't worry about it. I'll handle it." And I started working for David, and I became his trusted assistant for 3 years. And, you know, basically everything went through David, but David made everything go through me. So it was a great way. Pretty good way to start in the business.
Not a bad way to do it. And of course, he says, look, you got to go be on the air. So you end up in Chicago, distinguish yourself there with some great city reporting for Channel 2. And eventually you transition to sports nationally for CBS. And you're not one of those guys who could recite the lineup for the 1935 Detroit Tigers. Not exactly a sports fanatic. So how tough was that transition into sportscasting?
Well, the transition was, for me, I'm from South Dakota. The only sporting event we ever saw in South Dakota was when the Harlem Globetrotters came through once a year. So I didn't really, but I was a Minnesota Twins fan and all that, but I didn't know anything. Literally, I didn't know anything about sports. And Van Gordon Sauter, who was the president of CBS Sports at the time, said, "Look, you're a great reporter. You'll figure it out." And I did. And now I know a little more than I need to about sports. And I had a wonderful, blessed career in the sports. You know, I did the Olympics, the Super Bowls. I hosted baseball, the Final Four, the NBA. I mean, I don't think anybody will ever have a career like I had again. Not that I'm so great, but just now it's so spread out. And every sport has 5 or 6 anchors. I was the anchor of each sport nationally.
It's incredible. So, you look at that, then you transition into entertainment reporting, but all along the way, the temptations of alcohol and drug abuse. You write very honestly, very candidly about all that. Only about a minute left. How can people overcome addiction?
Well, if you have to get sober for yourself. You can't say, I got to do it to save my job. I got to do it for my family. You have to do it for you. And once you realize that you're doing yourself a favor and you take 30 days and go to rehab or whatever, get into a program, then you're off and running. But you can't, I always say it's better to be in a recovery meeting knowing you're an alcoholic than in a bar wondering if you're an alcoholic. Look, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And there are people who can drink. I bless them that, I wish I could. But if I have one drink, I always say, I got to be home by Christmas. I can't have this drink. But I'm 7 years sober now, and I help a lot of people, and I try to spread the word.
And you have spread it right here with us. The name of the book, again, is I'll Be Right Back After This. Thanks to Pat O'Brien, and we'll be back right after this.